I'm so excited about the turnout today because this is one of those issues that it pops up every few years, and there's kind of a good effort, and then everyone kind of goes into the different corners, and we don't really make the kind of progress we need. And I'm hoping in the course of today that through the data that we present, through some of the ideas that we're going to advance, that we begin to build a consensus over how we can move forward as a state. And some great work was done by our department, looking at the number of acres we've lost over the last 15 years in a period from 1992 to 2007. There's over 3,100 acres of freshwater wetlands. Now, during that same period, we estimate that the Corps estimates that the loss was only about 180 acres. So we need to figure out why there's this big gap. But more importantly, as important as the data is, we need to find ways to make sure that every Delawarean understands the impact that the actions of whether filling wetlands, draining wetlands, has on the quality of life for all of us. This isn't just some kind of greeny environmental land use issue. It really comes down to quality of life. When we fill in a wetland in an area, whether it's for a development or for other purposes, the water that was absorbed by that land, the ability to actually reduce flood impacts, to actually protect the properties around it, is diminished. We pay for it in other ways. We pay for it through damage through flooding. We pay for it with additional impacts on our infrastructure. We're just shifting the cost from one place to another. When we degrade a wetland, the ability for it to improve water quality diminishes. So then we have to clean the water some other way, through some other kind of man-made filtration system. When we degrade the habitat, the incredible species and the diversity that we have in these sites, goes somewhere else, or we lose it forever. These are real losses, and it's millions of dollars of value every year that we don't talk about enough. And so I think the only way we're going to make progress on this issue collectively is to begin to change the conversation to what are the actual impacts on average folks, the costs that are being incurred because of these decisions. There are great models in many parts of the country. Some are incentive-based, some are regulatory, some are kind of a combination of both. But what we've seen in Delaware is by not having kind of a unified framework for how to address these losses that really are staggering over the past 15, 20 years. We're going to continue to have more flooding in our communities, more problems with water quality, and continue to lose habitat for critical wild species. It really is a fairly simple case for me. And when you look at the last couple of years, the number of storms that we've had, the number of dams that we've had, actually breach or come close to breaching, the issues that we're having with impoundments and dikes, other types of problems with flooding of our roads. A lot of these problems are because the volume of water is so great and it has nowhere to go because we've degraded many of our wetlands. And so the average wetland, an acre of wetland, for example, can hold between 300,000 and 1 million gallons of water. So you fill it in, that water is going to go somewhere else, likely in the basement of the guy who is in the property next to it. It really just isn't fair. And so I'm excited that we have so many legislators here, and I saw Dave Wilson, Harvey Kenton, and I apologize if I missed anyone else. We have some great leaders from municipalities here as well. This is a conversation. This isn't an environmental conversation. This is a health and safety conversation. This is how do we have safe, healthy communities that are protected from flooding. I'm very excited about the theme today being about protecting our coastal communities, making sure that we're working on our resiliency, because really the wetlands and improving our wetlands, protecting our wetlands could be a big part of that solution, and they're going to be one of the cheapest, quickest ways to actually improve it. If we have to build actual engineered solutions to make up for all the wetlands that we've lost, to make up for other decisions that we made, we're going to be spending a lot of money for years to come. And so the question is, how do we view protection of these kind of natural assets that already exist, maybe need to be enhanced in some cases, but how do we view these as a real critical storm protection devices, really, in a way that becomes part of our overall strategy. At the same time, looking at water quality, there's no better way to filter out water quality than to have these wetlands that are actually doing the work for us by taking up nutrients through vegetation. That's a lot cheaper than building yet another wastewater plant or another engineered solution that is also trying to get us to the same kind of mass balance of our nitrogen and phosphorus. On the habitat side, the same thing. And so as you're listening to the presentations today, I'm hoping that you'll come away inspired that these are resources that are worth protecting. We've talked about legislation in the past, we've talked about different efforts. The only way that we're going to make progress in this state is really if there is a concerted effort. We all kind of agree that this is a resource worth protecting at the local government level, local residents, businesses, the county governments, at the state level. This shouldn't be a right-left issue. In most states it isn't. And obviously we're in a very tough political environment right now. Everyone wants the economy to recover. There's no one more committed to that than Governor Markell. But environmental regulations didn't get us into this mess. Repealing them or weakening them isn't going to get us out of it. we need to begin to show the economic value and the importance to our economy of having these kind of attributes. And if we can protect wetlands, not only do they enhance the quality of life and reduce flooding and improve public property, they also they really just enrich the entire state, because we are blessed with incredible natural resources in our state. I mean, a quarter of our state, it has some kind of wetland on it. It is a really remarkable number. And we're not saying that we can't have development. We need to have development in smart places, but we also need to protect these important assets that really do provide so much value. And so I'm really grateful for everyone coming today. We do have some national experts here. We have some great presentations from various parts of my department and other places in the state. But I hope you're thinking throughout the entire day, what could we do to either entice people or protect these resources a little better? What are the lessons we should learn from other states? What are the ways that we can make sure that we're making just a little bit of progress every day, so we're not spending really large amounts of money later, wishing that we'd just done things a little better earlier and kind of leaving that legacy for future generations. There are some great programs that already exist in DNREC. We have the Adopt a Wetlands program, which is great. We have private landowner programs. We have all kinds of things, but we need to figure out a way to take them to the next level. I've asked Frank Piorco, our Director of Watershed Stewardship, to kind of begin to pull together the strategic plan for what are all the different tools that we could have, and then work with all of you to figure out which ones make the most sense for Delaware. But it really starts with the data, and that's why the first presentation by Mark Biddle is really important, because I think it shows the scale of the problem. But I hope all of you will agree to work with us and really try to find a solution to this problem. Because if we don't figure out a way now, as storms become more intense, as more extreme weather events face our state, we're going to regret that we didn't take actions. And that's not really the legacy I want to leave to future generations and my little daughter Riley, my little Delawarean. And so I really am grateful for all of you taking the time. 260 people, maybe even more, are going to be here today. That's absolutely fantastic. It's up several fold from just a couple of years ago. But let's hope in 2 years, when we're holding the next conference, we're talking about the progress we've made, as opposed to just reporting on the additional losses in that time frame. Thank you very much for coming. I'm thrilled about today, and I look forward to working with all of you.